Hello everyone, my name is Michael here. I'm here to talk about my successes in real estate. When I first started looking into be a real estate investor, I started listening to the podcast, started listening to Bigger Pockets, started watching YouTube videos. And after watching a lot of YouTube videos and listening to podcasts, I knew that I needed a mentor to help me and guide me so I don't stumble across my own steps and fall down face forward, so I could get up and keep going. I knew that was going to happen. So I needed someone to help me, motivate me, and let me know that, hey, everyone falls when you first start. It's going to happen. It's going to keep happening. If you don't fall, you don't learn. So through the networking channels that I have available, I got a mentor, and his name is Paul Preventure. I've been probably being mentored, coached through him for about under a year now. And through that whole process, it's been excellent from the jump, right from the jump, from the videos that he helped me to watch, through some material that he told me to read, going through some formulas that I needed to understand, learning how to do comps, knowing how to talk to sellers. That's a seller's aspect. Knowing how to talk to your buyers. Those two things, knowing how to deal with your sellers, knowing how to buyers, is a whole new ball game. It's easy, but you just got to understand the ins and the outs and the do's and the don'ts. When I first started talking to him, it was totally a benefit because we could talk through text, we could talk through FaceTime, we have phone calls because we're always on the road moving back and forth. When you're on the road, you're always talking to someone driving, so that helps you get around some questions that you forgot to ask them or you didn't text them or things like that. FaceTime, screen share, looking at, we're at a different town. He lives in Sarasota, I live in Fort Myers, and he screen shared. You can help look at what I'm looking at in my city, and he can show me what he's looking at in his city, and it helps me understand what I'm supposed to be looking at, and looking at properties from MLS, off-market properties, or some software programs that I have for my CRM. It helps me in that aspect. Going through them on communication channels to the benefit a lot, because you have some questions that you might learn or you go across, you don't know if you're asking them right, and he'll have the answer to you. So a lot of times when you have a good communication line, he helps you know how to learn the way that you need to learn, or he's gonna teach you the way that needs to be done correctly. Some of the hurdles that I had when I first started wholesaling was I say one of the main things I knew is that I wasn't locking properties up low enough. When talking to a seller, I'm trying to lock a property up. It's supposed to be around like 60%, 65%, and I was locking up between 75, 80%, and which in my market is not going to work. Based on the ARV that needs to be done, and then the holding costs, and the net income after all money's put in, and how much profit's going to be made for a buyer, it wasn't going to happen. So that was one of the biggest hurdles that I couldn't get past, because I was, so happy to get something, under contract. And when you get something under contract, make sure you have it low enough so you could, there's some meat on the bones at the end of the game. And that was one of the big hurdles I had. Another hurdles that I went through was my marketing funds. My marketing fund wasn't much, but it was enough because I had a lot of determination for me to find. So I think all my leads that I first came across was for sale by owner on Craigslist. I put out bandit signs, sell your house. I talked to lots of people about selling their house, and I got some deals through that. And going through for sale by owner on Craigslist, getting those people on the phone and talking to them, and going through the call script and asking qualifying questions, so you don't, waste your gas driving out of town to talk to the people, and lo and behold, they're not going to be selling their house at a discounted price. That was something I thought I could do when I'm sitting in front of someone, but it wasn't really going to happen. So I had to make sure I get on the phone. So I got real good on the phone. That was another hurdle I went through. I say one of the recommendations that I could tell you about when you're having a mentor help you out is it's just the stuff that he could tell you when you think you have something good, and then he tells you you don't, because he's telling you that no one's gonna buy it for $300,000. I don't have a buyer that's for $300,000. And you think it could sell for $500,000, but it needs $100,000 in rehab. That's not gonna happen. If I don't have a buyer like that, it's not gonna happen when you first start out. So keep your price range low when you're looking for a house to buy for a wholesale price. because you know some of your buyers are not gonna put $300,000-$400,000 buy a house and put another 100 grand into it. That ain't gonna happen. Recommendations, and I think the main recommendation I could tell you is about this: just listen to them, listen to your mentor. You know, they might tell you stuff that you don't want to hear. It could be from no deal, or it should have been a lot lower, or you know, you gotta get out at 4 o'clock in the morning, put bandit signs, you know, Saturday morning, so the bandit signs could be on the side of the road for 3 days before the county comes around and snatches it up Monday morning. You know, I have no problem doing that, but that's a recommendation when you're putting your bandit signs up, because when I first got some bandit signs up, I put them up at like 9 o'clock in the morning, you know, Saturday afternoon, and sometimes they were gone, you know, already at Saturday at night, because, you know, the state comes by or whatever it is. My first deal was a good one. I like it. At the current time, I had 2 houses under contract. One was a complete rehab. The second was a rental property that really didn't need much. The seller had some renters in it for some Airbnb, and she just got tired dealing with the emails and the phone calls, and just wanted to, you know, get rid of the property. So I took my buyer through both of those properties. One was too much of a rehab. The second was too high of a price point. So I took him by this third property that didn't have a contract on. I had access to the house. Went through it the prior week. I knew the price I was going to negotiate with the seller for. And so when I took the buyer through, we talked about it, we looked at it, we negotiated a price. 2 days later, I had a contract with the seller. I think that evening, had negotiated the offer with the buyer, and the deal was locked up. I'm gonna say about 3 weeks after that, I closed that deal. About 10 days for the title, all that things to go through, but I actually spent about 12 to 14 hours on that property, and that was actually my first deal. Prior to me going through my leads and going through my buyers list, and you know, talking to motivated sellers, if I didn't talk to the people prior to that, I would not be able to negotiate that deal so quick, based on not having a contract on this house, on this property, with this seller, and not talking to the buyer prior to. If I didn't all my legwork prior to that, I wouldn't know how to negotiate that deal that quick, which came from skill set of me knowing how to talk to a buyer and talk to a seller. I think that's about it. You know, if there's any recommendations for me to help you, is to help fast track your success into wholesaling, is get you a mentor. You know, they will definitely help you out, get you on the right road, know what to do from right from wrong, and get you going real quick. Fast track, right then and there.